March the 8th, 2016. My name is Tanya Finchum. I'm with Oklahoma State University, and today I am in Norman, Oklahoma to interview Mary Joyce Hurst, and this is part of our Cowboy in Every County project, so thank you for having me today. Let's begin with learning a little bit about you, starting with when and where you were born.
I was born on a farm in Cotton County, March the 7th, 1934, and I grew up on a farm all that time until I graduated and then went to Oklahoma A&M.
Were you actually born at home?
At home. I'm sure my dad had to go probably 15 or 20 miles to get a doctor. But a doctor delivered me and my brother and sister all at home.
Are they older or younger?
No, they're all younger than I am.
So you were the oldest.
But it was a good life living on a farm. I mean, you learn more than if you lived in the town, in the city, that you would never learn, you know.
Well, what did he farm? What was his product?
Well, when I was real young, he farmed with 2 mules, and he farmed cotton. And things got different anyway. He went from row crop farming to wheat farming. So, but I picked a lot of cotton and chopped a lot of cotton and corn, and when we all worked. And when I got a little bit, I mean, I'm really young at that time, you know. My mother made us a cotton sack, and if we could get 100 pounds in it, we were really doing good. So we were really young. But then
100 pounds a day, or
day.
a day?
But we're pulling cotton, we're pulling bowls. It's not like the seeds are been taken out of it. It's all of it that you see out in the field, and the whole thing. So 100, well, I guess that's probably too much, 100 pounds. But anyway, we all.
Do you remember how much you got paid for it?
Huh?
Do you remember how much you got paid?
I don't. I'm sure we got paid some, but it couldn't have been very much because we didn't have much money. Farmers don't have a lot of money at that age, that stage in life. But and then later, while Dad was working in the fields in the summertime, I had to milk his cow. We only had 1 milk cow, so.
And the mules, he had mules.
He had 2 mules that he was plowing with at first.
Do you remember their names?
No, I don't, but I'm sure they had a name. Yeah.
What do you remember when he got his first tractor?
Yeah, that was quite something else. You know, I just don't remember a whole lot about it, but you know, we were still pretty young. But that was a whole lot easier work than row crop. Farming with 2 mules.
Well, you were born kind of in the Depression.
Oh yes,
early times through there.
So,
did your mother work outside the home?
Oh no, you know, she worked out on the farm too, just as much as the rest of us. You know.
You had chickens.
We had chickens, and at one time we had some turkeys. I can remember Dad built some kind of shelter for, well, he dug a hole that he could put a fire in down below to warm the earth that he built this chicken coop over, and to keep the baby chickens warm. And I don't know, we grew up about a half a mile from the farm, or maybe even, from the creek. So there was always plenty of wood to build that fire to keep those baby chicks warm. But of course he'd have to order the chicks. We didn't hatch them out ourselves. And it was a good life. And then my brother and I, we had always had a steer that we were feeding out for showing purposes. And he just made sure that we had everything we needed, and we had to work to keep it going.
Were you in 4-H or F?
4-H. We went to a little small school that I can remember there was 3 Jimmies in my class and one other boy, and there was 3 girls. That's how big my class was when we were in high school. And I transferred out of that school district because we didn't have a whole lot of classes we were taking. So I transferred out to Walters High School. So that's where I spent my senior year in high school, and then on to Oklahoma A&M.
What was the name of the country school?
Union Valley was the country school.
Was it a 1-room or a 2-room?
No, there was 1 room for the 1st and 2nd grade, and then the 3rd and 4th grade we had one bigger building that housed the 3rd and 4th grade, and the 7th and 8th grade in another room, and then the high school in another room. So we were always in a class or in a room with another class.
Combined with some.
So
Did you have to do the Pledge of Allegiance and
oh yes, we did that early in the morning.
and say a prayer, or did they do that?
I don't remember a prayer.
Well,
If
what
we did.
would you do for lunch?
Oh, I don't remember the first few grades, but later we had a lunch program. But it was, I'm sure that we had to take our own lunch for a while, and I don't remember. It might have been 5th and 6th, or maybe it could have been junior high age before we had a lunch program. And I don't remember when that was started.
Well, how would you get to school?
We had a bus. We rode the bus until I was a freshman. We lived about 4 miles from school, but we rode a bus, and we had to, go all the way up, away from school to pick everybody up. But then when I was a freshman in high school, Mother and Dad built a new house on another farm that wasn't an Indian lease, and we were a mile from school. Sometimes Mother would take us to school then, but we always rode the bus, most of the time, especially when we lived a little farther away from school. But so you understand when I said I was born on an Indian lease.
No, no Indian lease.
Oh, I didn't say that. We were all born on an Indian lease.
I'm not sure what that.
Well, Daddy was renting the property, which was quarters. You know what a quarter is of a section. He was renting 2 quarters by the time I was born from the Indians. They owned that land around that area. I guess that's when the government gave them their, quarter.
What tribe?
Comanches.
Okay.
And then my mother inherited another quarter away from a mile from school, and that's when they built a new house and we moved. I was a freshman in high school then.
Did the new house have running water?
Yes, we'd never had running water. We'd never had a toilet or bathroom, I can remember as being small, very young, we bathed in a tub on the kitchen floor, but we had an outdoor toilet, which most of everybody in that community where I grew up, I don't know whether all farm-related area houses, that's where they had their toilets. They were all outside, but we didn't have electricity until my sister was in the 3rd or 4th grade, And so I would have been in junior high. And my mother and dad never had a phone until I'd already finished college.
Mm.
Then some company came out from Vernon, Texas, and built lines out in that part of southern Oklahoma, southern Cotton County anyway, for a phone system.
So they trusted the mail, or had to rely on mail, the mail
yes,
service.
I remember one time Mother felt like she needed to take me to the doctor, and Daddy had gone somewhere in the pickup, and she didn't have any way of taking me. But my dad's brother lived 2 miles south of where we lived, and so Mother caught the mailman, which came from Ranelette, and told him to tell my mother's sister-in-law to come and get us so we could go to the doctor. So, I mean, you know, it's hard when you don't have a phone.
Sure.
But I grew up that way, so, you know, you make plans to do something else about it.
Needed a horse, I guess.
Yes, we could have, but it was too far away from the doctor to ride the horse.
Well, being Indian land, were you in a class with the Indians? Any Indian children?
No,
Didn't have
the
any?
Indians didn't live there. Not until I was in high school that some Indians moved in close to the school, and I had classes with some Indians then, and played basketball with them, you know. So up until I was in high school, we didn't have any Indians in class.
And you played basketball?
We played basketball, yes. But and I'm a big basketball fan.
What position did you play?
Oh well, it's not like basketball today. This was 3-on-3. You know what I mean by 3-on-3? So I played on the offensive end. The other end was the defense.
So you didn't have to run full court,
No,
it was just half court.
No, it was half court. And so I was such a basketball fan that when I went to OSU, that was one thing that I really enjoyed doing. The dinner hall opened at 5:30 every evening, and I tried to be first in line because I wanted to get over to it wasn't Gallagher Hall then. Let's see what it was, the field house, and to watch the freshmen. Freshmen didn't play basketball with the varsity at that time.
Kind of like junior varsity or something.
Well, it was yeah.
Or just
I
freshmen, yes.
I know that they were freshmen, but I don't remember what they were. I don't remember what they were called. But I always enjoyed watching Mr. Iba's class basketball teams play.
So that would have been 1950. Let's see, when did you finish high school?
1952.
52. So, okay. So 52 when you went to Oklahoma A&M. Why OSU? Why did you choose to go there?
My mother went to school there, and that, as far as we were concerned, that was the only school that you need to go to. Also, in 4-H Club, in the May, they have 4-H groups come into the state at OSU and for dress reviews and demonstrations and, you know, a bunch of things. And so I always was going, you know, after I got big enough to do that through 4-H.
Roundup, I think. I don't know if it was called that then, but it's Roundup now.
I think it was called Roundup then, now that you mention it.
So you got familiar with campus
Oh, yeah.
early.
Of course, changes every year, so.
Sure. Where did you live?
I lived in Willard Hall on the first floor, and it was easy to get to and from classes. And most of the other girls stayed in Murray and Stout Hall, and there's both of those are still there, right? So, but when my girls started college, they lived at Bennett Hall. And my youngest one said she could never figure out directions, but she lived in West Bennett, so she knew which was west.
Well, when your mother went, did she graduate from there, or just?
No, it was during Depression time. Well, she, let's see, she must have started in 1928. She was real good in art, and I can remember when I started, I had an art class under Mrs. Britton, but Miss Jack was still there, and that's who my mother had her art classes under. I just, always enjoyed all of that so much.
Mrs. Jack, J-A-C-K?
I think her first name was Ella Jack, I believe. But she was still there when I started. So it was the only place to go, and that's as far as I was concerned. That was the only place for my girls to go also. But we made sure that they knew where to go, because we kept going back to basketball or football or some other sports, and they went on 4-H trips also to Stillwater. So it just came normal that if you were going to go to college, you went to. It was OSU by the time they started. But.
Well, how would you get back and forth from Walters to Stillwater?
Stillwater
while you were in college?
Well, I was in college. We went by car. My mother, though, went by train from Waurika to Stillwater. That was the closest way, and they, I'm sure, went by horse and buggy, because I just remember that when they moved to that part of Cotton County, they moved by horse and buggy. So times had changed by the time I went to school.
Well, were your parents from Oklahoma, or were they from Texas?
Daddy was born in Texas, northern Texas, and the family moved from Iowa Park to Oklahoma across the river, Red River, by horse and trailer, or not trailer. Well, anyway, buggy and so forth, and with all their cattle, because my granddaddy they moved from one place to another because their children were born in different counties. So I knew they jumped around in northern Oklahoma, northern Texas, and they moved from Iowa Park to southwest Cotton County when he was 3. My mother was born on the verge of getting into Oklahoma. Her folks were moving and they had to stop in Nevada, Texas, and she was born in the Love Hotel as they were moving to Oklahoma.
That's a pretty good story.
Yeah. So they're both were from Texas, but their ancestors were farther south.
Well, when you were growing up, was church an important part of your life?
Yes, we had church activities at the schoolhouse, non-denominational, and then later, when my brother and sister and I before we were teenagers, that group wanted to be known as a Baptist church, and that's what they had a Baptist preacher. And most of my mother's family was from Temple, and we all went to the Temple Methodist Church here. So we drove.
Well, and when you were into high school, did you have a favorite subject?
Basketball. No, not really, but nothing that I can remember.
Math, science, history, none of it?
No.
Were you a pretty good student?
Yes,
Pretty good
I was a good student. Not that I worked very hard in college, but
Well, being involved with 4-H, was there a county agent?
Oh, yes.
And I guess home demonstration would have been the other.
yes. And most of them, I remember most of them's name after I got a certain age. But yeah, they were all nice people.
They come out to the farm.
Yes, they'd come out to the schools too, at different times for meetings and things. And then we'd have a county group that met once ever so often. I don't remember how long, but we had officers county-wise, and just like I guess they still do. I don't know.
They participated in the county fair, that type of thing.
Yes.
Was your mother a member of a homemaker club?
Yes. They called it home demonstration club then.
Do you remember the name of it? Do you happen to remember the name of it?
Yeah.
They had
Well,
some neat ones.
her club was Busy Bee.
Busy Bee.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, more people ought to be involved in farm life because
It's
I
more
guess-
rail-rounded, isn't it?
yes,
More well-rounded.
you learn a lot, and you've seen a lot. Maybe you didn't learn much about it, but you've seen, calves been born and pigs been born, and a lot of things that people in town, kids especially, have never seen.
Well, you also see the life cycle too, because you end up butchering some of those
Oh,
for
yes. I can remember we always butchered a hog on the first day or one of the days that it was going to be a norther come in and be really cold, and they'd stick a hog and hang it to let it bleed. I can't remember now what the proper word was if it wasn't bleed, but yes, and we raised chickens and with dressed fryers, all day and take them to town to put in the freezer because, if you don't have electricity, you can't keep stuff like that. But we'd put it in the freezer. We'd put a whole chicken in one container. There, you could get, I believe it was quart size, heavyweight. I don't remember what you call the stuff that container. I mean the fabric, paper and stuff that it was built out of. But you could get if you dressed fryers when they weren't too big, you could get a whole chicken in one quart container. So that fed all 5 of us. Each one had our own piece of that we got when we had fried chicken.
And what was your piece?
It was the pulley bone.
I know what that is.
You know what that is?
People don't anymore though. My
Do?
kid doesn't.
Well, I guess because you go buy a chicken, it's not
It's not
cut
there.
into a pulley bone.
Right.
Yeah. Well, my daughter said last night that she wanted me to fry a chicken because she was just hungry for one. And I thought, well, I guess I'm going to have to go buy a whole chicken and cut it up so she'll know what part she's eating.
And did you do that?
We just talked about it last night. So yeah, I'm planning to.
So I've never cut up a whole chicken,
Oh,
but I mean that's a
Well,
skill that
you
they
know,
taught long ago too.
I learned that early in life.
Yeah.
My mother could wring a chicken's neck and let it flop outside until it quit, and then we'd stick it in boiling water and take the feathers off and cut it up. It was ready to be frozen.
Well, did she usually fry it or did bake?
Oh, we had fried chicken.
Fried chicken,
Yeah,
not baked.
no. That goes like, we always had butchered our own calves, but beef. We never had anything but chicken fried steak at home. I mean, as far as the steak was concerned. And I've not eaten one since then, and I'm not going to cook one. I just, I guess that's what Daddy wanted. And so we had chicken fried steak and potatoes and gravy.
And gravy.
And I don't eat any mashed potatoes either anymore.
Had too many of them?
Yeah. So, yeah. I'm sure that my kids are the same way. That they're not going to do this because that's all we had at home.
So they raised their own potatoes?
Oh yes, we had always had a big garden. And I know in February is when they would plant onions and radishes. And those are the two things I can remember that they planted early. And then, you plant certain things. I guess it's okra. Same time you plant cotton. I mean, I guess that's the way Dad grew up. That they knew when to plant certain things for the garden. We always had a big garden.
Well, she canned a lot.
We canned a lot, but then by the time we got electricity, you could freeze a lot of it too. You didn't have to can as much, but they still canned a lot, even until I guess I was probably a freshman in high school.
Well, when they went into town, what would be some of the things that they would buy if they did all of this at home? Sugar, I guess.
Sugar and flour.
And flour.
And shortening, yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably the main things.
Do you remember your first, bought loaf of bread? Like sandwich bread that we had?
Yeah, I don't remember. And I don't remember that Mother made a whole lot of bread. I don't know. Maybe that's one thing that we bought a lot of. But we only went to town on Saturdays when I was growing, young. And
the town would have been Walters?
Temple.
Temple, okay.
And that's mainly, I'm sure, because of most of my mother's family lived there. And, it was 12 miles to Temple and 15 miles to Walters, so.
Kind of in the middle.
Yeah.
And Temple is still in Oklahoma?
Yes.
Okay.
It's still in Cotton County.
Okay. Did it have a movie theater?
Oh, no. Temple didn't. Walters had 2 movie theaters when I was growing up. One on the west side of the street had a lot of cowboy movies. So, you could go watch Gene Autry or Roy Rogers or something like that. So, but we didn't get to go to the movies very often, but they'd always take us for a child movie, I guess you might call it. We saw Lassie Come Home and My Friend Flucka and that type of movies. They'd always make sure that we'd go to town and see that as a family. We were pretty young when those came along.
Would they give you an allowance?
Yes, we got a nickel a day.
A nickel a day?
At the end of the week, they'd give us 35 cents for our allowance. And when we go to town, if we wanted to buy candy, that's what we got candy with.
Oh.
And my brother was always saving his, and my sister would have to buy from him because she couldn't keep hers lasting a whole week. So.
And would they actually give you the physical nickel each day, or just
no,
at the end of the week?
We'd get 35 cents.
So 3 times in a nickel, or a quarter and a dime, or just various
I don't
ones?
remember. But
That was quite a
That's
bit of
not-
money though for
yeah, but we had chores to do, you know. A lot of chores.
milking the cow.
Milking cows and feeding chickens and all these good things, yes.
Were most of your chores inside or out?
Oh, my sisters were inside. I was working outside. We were driving the tractor by the time we were 10 years old and plowing. And after the wheat harvest is when Daddy'd put us on the tractor and let us plow. Of course, he taught us how to do it and how so forth, but we did a lot of it.
That's just part of life, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, all that work, what would you do for fun?
Well, at school, we always have basketball games at night, so, you know, we saw a lot of basketball games. I don't remember, because the schools the country schools were too small to have football, so it was just basketball. And it seems like to me sometimes they played boys played baseball. I can't remember. That was it. Or go train your calf your steer to lead and so forth. I mean, you know, that's just part of farm life.
Go fishing? Go fishing?
Mother'd take us occasionally to fish because we lived right there on the creek. She'd also take us to swim on the creek at times. But one time we were down there swimming and she quickly got us out on the bank, and here comes a wall of water down the creek. You know, if it rained up farther north in the state, well, it would come rolling down, you know. You can really see it. It was a wall coming towards you.
That'd be kind of scary too.
But she quickly got us out.
Could you swim? Did you know how to swim? Was it?
I don't think so. I never was a very good swimmer. Even with my swimming classes, I just could do enough to finish it. Yeah, I didn't like it in my nose and my ears and my eyes.
Well, speaking of that, did they make you take swimming when you were
yes.
at Oklahoma?
We had to have 2 years of exercise classes, you know. We had a choice. We had to take swimming. We could have dancing. We could have golf. We could have tennis, bowling. We had a lot of choices along the line, but you had to take swimming.
And you had to learn to swim or not pass the class?
Yeah. Well,
Wow.
I think most everybody knew how to swim. We just didn't know real well. I mean, you can do better than what you learn on the creek.
Dog paddling?
Yeah. But
Well, besides swimming, what did you take?
I took bowling and I took tennis. I certainly didn't take dancing. I'm not that.
Did it say what kind of dance did they have? Ballroom or square dance or?
I just one of my friends, I can't remember, but she was always taking dancing classes, and she loved it. But I can't remember exactly now what it was.
What did they have dancing when you were growing up? Would your parents go to dances?
Well, no.
They would have them at your house?
And you know, I don't know whether they probably couldn't dance, so we didn't learn either.
Well, what about music? Was music?
Oh well,
part?
we always took piano lessons. Started out with from the lady at church at Temple. She also taught, and when Daddy'd go to do business, you know, he'd take us. David and I took at the same time. And we could walk back downtown because that was probably 3 or 4 blocks. But we started with her, and then later we took from a lady, I took from a lady in Walters. And then later I took from a lady that taught in Burkburnett, Texas, which it was 19 miles to Burkburnett. So, I mean, you know, it wasn't very far to.
Well, they were committed to having you learn, weren't they?
Uh-huh.
And the expense to doing
Yes,
that too. And they had your brother take lessons?
He
too?
took lessons from that first lady we took for 2 or 3 years, enough to try to teach him something. But he never, I don't know that he ever learned to play very well. I don't remember that. And my sister then later took also.
Oh, that's pretty cool. What did your mother sew?
She sewed.
Make your clothes?
Yes, but she's the one that taught us to sew. That's you know, the time we were 8, she was teaching us. And that's kind of the way I feel about when I had my girls, that it was my duty to teach them what I felt like they needed to know. Sewing and cooking and, you know, so forth.
Not leave it to the home ec teacher?
Yes, well, they didn't take home ec because their mother should have been doing that. So, that's kind of the way I felt about it, you know. They could take something else because they didn't really need that.
Yeah, you'd already taught them what they needed. Well, when your mother, would she make your clothes from patterns or make up her own patterns, or do you remember?
When I was smaller, I don't remember seeing a pattern. So I don't know, but later I know, you know, but she made all of our clothes.
Where did she get her fabric?
At Temple or Walters.
Okay.
There was
Wouldn't mail order?
store. Huh?
Wouldn't mail order? Would not mail order?
I don't remember it being mail order, but it could have been. But there was communities, I don't know what to say.
Kind of like a mercantile or whatever?
Yes, store in Temple that they sold everything. You could also take your milk and eggs and so forth to sell them there, and it was just had everything, you know, clothing, and I'm sure she bought fabric there.
A general store, I guess.
Uh-huh.
Would she sell her cream and eggs for her spending money?
I'm sure she did. But I don't remember how much.
Okay.
You know, we probably had more of that than we could use, so I'm sure that I just remember her mother. Well, that's a long story. I don't know. My granddaddy was sheriff on my daddy's side. I know he was a sheriff in 1929. Before that, he appointed a man at Temple to be marshal. And one night he told this Harry Adair to go home because he was drunk. Well, Harry Adair went home, but came back with a gun and shot and killed him. And that turns out to be my mother's granddad. And the sheriff was my daddy's daddy. There was no connection with the families back then, but then later, my mother, they moved from Temple area to out west 12 miles, and that's how the family got to know each other. So I had double cousins. My mother's cousin married one of my daddy's sisters, and then the family's always been together since then. So, but I thought it was strange they didn't know each other back when my granddad appointed Mr. Graham as his marshal.
What was your granddaddy's name?
Joe Carr, and it's spelled K-E-R-R, but it's Carr.
Not Kerr?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, if you saw it in Oklahoma, you would say Kerr, but it was pronounced Carr. It came from Scotland. And
So what was your maiden name?
Carr.
Carr, okay. Well, then we should back up then. And how did you meet your husband? Was he?
Oh, when I transferred high school
Okay.
to Walters, he was in my class then.
You knew him before you went to college?
Yeah.
Were you married before you went, or
No.
halfway through or
we
something?
married before I finished my last semester. And he had another year and a half in engineering. So.
You finished though. You
Oh, yeah.
finished. In what year?
56.
And what was your major?
Home economics.
Home ec.
That's
Well,
why.
that adds all this up. Okay.
That's why I felt like it was my job to teach my girls, so they could take something else in high school.
Well, and who were some of your teachers in home ec at Oklahoma A&M? I probably won't recognize them anyway. So.
Well, no, because I'm sure they've Miss Cole, C-O-E, Miss Cole. There was two sisters that taught at the home ec department. And I can't remember now if I had both of them in different classes or what. I don't remember that. But Leila O'Toole was the
Recognize that name.
dean of the home ec school. And she was there for a long time.
I understand she wore gloves a lot.
I don't remember that.
Don't remember?
Listen, I had another teacher that I liked real well. I can't remember. I had two different instructors in home and foods classes, but I can't remember their names.
Or was there a required dress? I mean, could you wear pants, or did the girls have to wear dresses, or do you remember?
We didn't wear pants back then.
Not that you couldn't, you just didn't.
Well, I never saw anybody wear pants, and I certainly didn't have any. I don't know. I don't think there was any rule against wearing pants, but no girls ever wore pants that I can ever remember. But one thing I do remember about going to my English class from Willard Hall over to the, now I can't think of the name of the building. It was where all the English classes were taught, behind the fire station. So it was a long walk through there. And every morning that I guess it was Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I don't remember whether that was my freshman year or my sophomore year, but anyway, I'd meet this group of girls that were all laughing, and they knew each other. But one lady stood out. She was a head taller than the rest of them, and very striking. And of course I didn't know who she was, but we moved to Norman in 1960. And the lady across the street invited me to her house one morning for some women's group from her church. And there was this lady that I'd seen many years ago walking across the campus, and found out that was Betty Bellis. And well, of course it wasn't Bellis when we were all in college, but so several months later I was getting ready to take a job, and so I asked the lady across the street if she knew somebody that she might recommend that needed a babysitter. I had a 2-year-old, and she said, well, Betty keeps kids. So that's when our friendship started in 1961.
Wow, okay.
And we've remained close friends ever since.
Over 50 years, yeah.
So, that's pretty much my life story.
Well, did your husband go to A&M with you?
He went, yes, he was
he got his degree from there too. And then after you graduated, well, did you have practice house? I've heard about practice houses.
Oh, yes, I forgot about that, yeah. That doesn't sound,
They call them something else, didn't they?
let's see.
Maybe it was a home demonstration house? You know what I'm
That
talking
sounds
about?
more, that sounds more like it than practice house. Yes, I had that after I got married. That was my last semester. I had one semester after we got married, and that's when I was at that house where we planned meals and did everything.
Did the
that we
budget, did everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
How did he ask you to marry him?
Well, I don't remember.
What was his name?
Phil Hurst.
Did either one of you get thrown in Theta Pond when you got?
What?
Did either one of you get thrown in Theta
No.
Pond when you were got
No.
engaged? A lot of people
Well, I don't ever
did
remember.
back in those days.
I don't ever remember seeing or hearing about that when we were in school.
You lucked out then.
Yeah.
Theta Pond was there.
Yeah. Oh, yes, it was there. I don't know whether it was there when my mother was in school, but I just remember she had a lot of classes, and now I started to tell you that old first building.
Old Central.
Old Central, okay.
It's still there. And
Yeah.
been used, so it's very pretty inside.
So, that's my life story, I guess. I don't know what I left out.
No, you're doing fine. When you went to basketball to watch the freshman team, you were talking about Iba.
Uh-huh.
Was he the head coach then?
Oh, yes.
Was he?
Of course, the varsity team played immediately after the freshmen played. But one thing, I watch games now. I've watched a lot of basketball. But when they'd have timeouts, he was sitting in his chair, and he'd have all 5 players come and lay flat on the floor with their heads right at him, looking like this. And, you don't see that anymore. They've rushed out with 5 chairs instead of sit players on it. I just think that's different. But, I just thought he was the best coach ever. And probably still is.
He had a lot of winning seasons too. What was the current library there?
The library was 1 year, no, the library wasn't there when I first started, I don't think. The union was 1 year old.
Okay.
And so the library was built after the union.
Yeah, it was probably being built, in the process of being built then.
So, and I worked at Oklahoma Natural for a while until we left Stillwater.
Well, did you have to work while you were in college?
I did some with them, Oklahoma Natural, through their home demonstration groups that they'd have. Groups that would come in and they would demonstrate how and different things that they'd shown. And I worked for them some until I graduated from high school. Then they let me work at taking the money from people in town that had gas service. So I was appreciative of that.
Did your parents pay your tuition, or did you?
No, my dad gave me $100 every month. He put it in the bank for me, and I had to make do with $100 a month. But if your tuition is only $48 for no matter how many classes you took, $100. I didn't spend a lot of money because I wasn't used to having a lot, but that's what I went to college on.
Do you remember graduation day?
Not very well.
Where the ceremony was?
Was it out at Louisville?
Outside.
I was you know, back then I think it was later in the season. It's not, you know, it's pretty early anymore in May, but I think it was probably, it seems like to me it was later.
In June, maybe.
I don't know if it's that late or not. It could have been, but I just don't think was as early as there. But we didn't start school classes until after Labor Day. So that would push the whole cycle of classes back later than in May like they did today.
Were you in any clubs or organizations?
I went to, and I can't tell you the name of it, but it was a group that was for 4-H people, 4-Hers that had been in. And I can't even tell you the name of it. I've forgotten. I could have gotten out an annual and probably looked at some things and have been able to tell you more, but that's about all I remember about clubs.
So you got married and then you graduated and then you moved to Norman?
No, we moved to Ohio.
Oh, okay.
He went to work, my husband went to work as a, no, I can't even tell you, chemical engineer. And, but he went to work in sales, and we spent 3 long winters, bad winters, in Ohio. And, you know, I knew on the way going up there that it wasn't going to be good because we'd come to Terre Haute and the buildings were all black with soot and it was just not a pleasant looking sight.
Mm-hmm.
So I was mighty glad to get home to less severe winters. You know, all 3 winters were different, but they were all terribly bad.
Where in Ohio?
Out of a town named Mount Vernon, which was about 30 or 40 miles north of Columbus.
Okay, so pretty far north then. Well, how did you end up in Norman?
Because he wanted to go to law school.
Okay.
So that's what we did.
Is it hard to live here knowing that when Bedlam time comes around?
No, I just don't like to go to the university to watch a game, even when OSU's playing, because they have the worst fans in the world. So I stay away from them.
Well, Bedlam was big even back when you were on campus, wasn't it?
I don't remember it being
Not
big.
so much.
But you never had a very good basketball team compared to what OSU had under Iba.
No, that's true.
So I don't know, that might be. And OSU never had a very good football team, so you know it didn't make much difference. I wasn't a football fan anyway, so. But I'm more so now because I want to watch Mike play. I mean, not play, but coach. He was playing as quarterback when my youngest daughter worked at the football office. Yeah, and several years ago when we were up there, she always liked to go back to the football office because at that time the same secretaries were there that when she worked there. And one day we walks in and one of them says, "Well, Wendy, Mike was here, he just left, but he'll be back in just a few minutes." And sure enough, he was. So Wendy says to him, he walked on by, "Mike, I just wondered if you remember me." Well, he comes over and he looks at her. And he gets up close and looks her in the eye and calls her Wendy. Now that had been since that had been 30 years before. You know, for him to remember Wendy, it's almost unbelievable.
So you had 2 daughters?
2 daughters.
Wendy,
the first one, yeah.
Wendy and
Wendy was the second one. Robin was the first one. She finished in microbiology and went to University of Arizona for graduate work, and came back to OSU, and then decided not to work on her doctorate. And somebody, one of the fellows that she knew that she'd had some classes evidently with, was working for a company in Wisconsin. So she decided maybe the money sounded better, but you know, who would want to live in Wisconsin? But she went up there and they hired her, and she's been there since well over 20 years.
Wow.
So therefore you don't see much of them.
When did she graduate from OSU?
1981.
Okay, and then when did Wendy?
She didn't graduate, but she started in 64. Now I can't remember.
Do their math.
I can't remember.
In the 60s, that's close enough.
It was probably 82 or 3
82.
when she started.
Okay. What was she majoring in?
I don't know that she even had one.
Okay. So,
But that's the difference in children
yes, you should have just had the two.
too.
So, take us a little bit through your career once you started to work.
I taught school in Denville, Ohio, 1 year, and
Home economics.
yes,
Okay.
and the next year I got a job there in town that I didn't have to commute, but I saw the doctor and I had already had 2 or 3 miscarriages, and he put me to bed. And that's the story. That child was born, and
And then you met Betty.
with
that child, I
With
was
that child, and Betty helped raise her. That's right.
And then where did you go to work when you did go to work here?
For City National Bank downtown, which is no longer called City. It's First Fidelity Bank out of Oklahoma City. But when I was working there every day, at the end of the day, I'd have to write a check to Fidelity Bank in Oklahoma City. I didn't sign it, but you know, I filled it out. And so there was some family connection at that time. The grandson was about 5 years old of the people that owned the bank, and he is now president of the First Fidelity, so it's a family, some kind of family attachment there. But
Well, did you do that type of work the rest of your working career?
after Wendy was born, I taught school a couple of days, a couple hours a day in Sulphur, but just because they lost their junior high teacher. But there's a whole lot of easier work than teaching school.
Well, I noticed your tape measure. What are you doing these days?
Oh, I do alterations.
Still using your sewing?
I'm using my sewing. I've been doing alterations ever since I came back to Norman in 1989. And I rented a house at first over on Berry and Cadell. And after I bought this house, the owner came by and wanted to know if I'd help take care of his rental property. So I've been doing that since 1991.
Wow.
So I'm doing alterations and taking care of his rental property.
Staying busy.
Yes.
Well, you said when you came back to Norman.
Yeah, well, when he finished law school, we went to Sulphur.
Okay. Still Oklahoma, though.
Oh, yeah. And I spent 20 some odd years down there. So, but, you know, knowing Betty was here and it's a convenient town to go wherever, you know, it's I-35 is right there, and you can hop up to the airport, or I-40. You know, it's just a convenient town to live in and to get wherever you might be going. It's not that I would say it's as easy to get through as Stillwater, because, you know, it's a pretty nice place to live.
But having your best friend close by,
Yeah.
it counts
So,
a lot.
It helps,
So some of the things the two of you have done through the years?
Well, you mean with together?
Yeah.
Well, mostly, she married, she always worked at the, that's when I came back, at the geology, no, that's not right. Something related to geology campus, and then she was secretary for some group that met all over the country. So, and she married well, she can tell you about that, but I don't know what terminology, something related to geology. But he died 3 or 4 years ago, and so we've been closer. We do things more together. No. So.
Do you talk OSU pride?
Yeah, you know, we go to alumni groups and together, and yes, a lot of times I've tried to get her to come in and watch games with me, but she likes to go to the Philharmonic on Saturday nights in Oklahoma City, so we just have different interests, except that doesn't keep us from being close friends.
Sure. But you didn't know each other when you were on campus. Yeah,
Isn't that strange?
Yeah. Well, do you have a favorite memory from campus? Besides freshman basketball?
Yeah, that was my entertainment.
That was it.
That's about it. And you know, when you enrolled, you only got half of the tickets to the ball game. But living on a little area and one phase of the first floor of Willard Hall, not everybody down there wanted to go to see basketball games, and so you could always get a basketball ticket. So I just never missed one.
Do you remember what your room number was?
I think it was 121, but I'm not positive.
We've heard people talk about the women of Willard. I don't know if that was maybe an after you groups of refer to themselves as women of Willard. Women after.
I don't remember that.
That's okay. Were there a lot of cars on campus when you were there?
Well, sure.
Well,
But not like there.
yeah, there's a lot.
I'm sure today.
Yeah. Well, you'd walk places where you wanted to
yeah.
go. You didn't have a car.
I didn't have a car. But we just walked. You know, a lot of times there would be several of us that we would walk downtown. You know, that's quite a distance.
From Willard, yeah.
But
Did they have a dorm mother? Is that
yes,
right? Dorm mother?
we had a dorm mother. I can't tell you what her name was.
And had curfews.
And a curfew, you had to be in by 10:30 at night during the week. Of course, the library didn't close that early. I remember that, but not that I was always at the library. But weekends it was longer. I can't remember. Seemed like to me one night was 12 o'clock.
I would think Saturday night or Friday maybe.
Yeah.
Would you come home very often during the semester?
No,
school year?
not really.
Would they come see you?
No, they only came up for my graduation.
Or did they drop you off when you first started?
No, I came with a friend. No, they just sent me up here.
With one suitcase or two?
I probably
one.
didn't have
Probably
but one. Yes. But
Well, would you come home like for holidays, for Christmas,
oh yes,
Thanksgiving?
you know, the campus life was good, I thought. Maybe because I wasn't used to a whole lot, but I thought it was good, especially since it had basketball.
And the dairy barn was there. Yeah, I would think the dairy barn would have been there with ice
Oh, yeah.
cream and cheese and all that
I
good
don't
stuff.
know, but you'd have to walk way out to the dairy barn to see.
Yeah, it's not there anymore, so.
Later, I remember taking, when my daughter lived up there, I took my grandson out to the dairy barn. Yeah.
Will he go there, or did he go to OSU?
No, they moved when he was to Wisconsin, when he was almost 4. He went to college, University of Minnesota, and majored in finance and is now working for a financial company in Portland, Oregon. So I don't get to see him often either.
They're spread out a little bit.
Yeah. And I blame her for moving away from Oklahoma for that.
Yeah, maybe she'll come back someday.
I don't think so.
Well, Oklahoma, you consider home, and I mean, it's
Oh, yeah.
obviously is always with
Yes.
that without Ohio in the
Yes,
mix, but most of your life's been here.
Yes.
Good place.
Yes. You know, there are bad places all over the world, but, you know, and I'm sure there's some bad times in Oklahoma right now, like the oil production, but, you know, there's always good and bad wherever you go, so you just live with it.
Well, anything else you can recall about OSU days, Oklahoma A&M days for you? Did it bother you when they changed the name?
No, it didn't really. I'd already, of course, finished. I think it was in the summer of 1957.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
No,
Right?
you're right. You're right.
When they changed the name, because my husband had just finished, and that's why I can remember it was 57.
Yeah.
No, it's a little bit more prestigious looking to be called OSU than Oklahoma A&M.
And from Aggies to Cowboys. And Pistol Pete was Pistol? No.
No, we didn't have Pistol Pete. We did not have a mascot.
Yeah,
Or I don't remember ever seeing one.
Well, they were Tigers for Aggies. I don't know. Or just
Tigers were initially.
initially.
That
Probably
was,
when your mother was
probably was, but I don't ever remember her
her son.
hearing her talk about it. She kept her yearbook.
Well, in '56, was Vet Village still there?
Yes.
Was it?
Yes. We had friends living in that village, yes.
I'm not entirely sure where that was, but I've seen pictures.
Well, you know where the stadium is? It's northwest of there, north of, what is that that runs on the north side of the stadium? I know.
There's Hall of Fame.
No,
No. McElroy?
no,
No.
it's south of there.
Oh.
That right by the stadium. Well,
Oh, another thing I think of is
Yeah.
Athletic Road, but that's not our farm road. I don't know. I'll look at the
no,
map.
I mean, just immediately north, right there, within this many feet of the stadium. It was north, you'd go back, you know where the vet school is? It's, I would say that it was approximately due north of there.
Okay.
Maybe a little, not quite that far west.
Okay. Kind of between Washington Street and
Well, it was
And
not,
Western or something
I don't
like
think it was close to Washington Street, but I can't remember now what street you took to get to up there.
but it was just little shacks, or was it
No, it was
trailers?
Big-
or?
2-story buildings that military personnel had been involved with.
Okay.
and they were being converted, I assume, into apartments up in the first and second floor. That's what I remember friends living in. But
And who was the president? Do you remember
Huh?
do you remember who the president of the university was when you were there?
yes, Wilhelm.
Okay.
And Wilhelm was from the same county, grew up in the same county where I did. So I assume he went to Oklahoma A&M as a ag major.
I would assume.
That's
Yeah.
what I remember.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
And the library wasn't there. The union had a bowling alley.
The bowling alley was in the basement of the
Student union.
student union, and I'm assuming they still have one there. I don't know.
But they took it out.
They took it out.
Yeah. When they remodeled, they took it out.
Well, they've had several remodeling jobs
Yeah.
for the union.
Beautiful building though, still, I think. Anything else you want to add? Well, I'll make you sing the song. The alma mater song.
I don't remember anything else, you know. And you've had to jog my memory about some of
Well,
that.
you've done good. And you ate in the cafeteria a lot. And
Oh.
it was in the dorm.
In the dorm.
In the dorms?
I think best I recall, that most every dorm had cafeterias. Their own cafeteria.
And the food pretty good.
Best I recall, it must not have been bad.
No chicken fried steak.
No, probably not. But I don't remember disliking it. So it must have been okay.
Must have been.
It might not have been mother's cooking, but
And it was included in your tuition, or did you have to pay separate for it? It may have been part of your room and when you paid
we
for your
paid
dorm
room and board,
Yeah. Okay.
and I don't remember close even what that was. I just remembered how much the tuition was.
Well, you wouldn't have had to pay each time you went through the line.
No.
then.
No, we
Okay.
paid room and board.
Did it have an elevator? Did Willard have an elevator?
Oh, yes, I
At
think
that
it did.
time?
It seems like they did.
I don't know. Probably did. It wasn't the one with the iron, the old gates that would have.
Well,
to open
it could have
across.
been. I don't remember. But I don't remember. Of course, I never
You on
used
first
it.
floor? You didn't need it.
I
did
didn't
you?
need it, but I have a picture in my mind where it was located.
Well, how would you do your laundry?
We went to the basement. They had laundry facilities in the
Okay.
basement.
You had to have money for that.
You
I
had
would
to have
assume.
money for that.
Okay.
But between the first floor was divided with a living area. I mean, the meeting area or something.
The
you
parlor,
know,
the
parlor
parlor.
type with between the two wings.
Well, once you got married, where did you live?
The first house we lived in was on Hester and 6th.
Okay.
There was an apartment house on the south side of 6th at Hester. But then after I went to work for the gas company, we didn't have a TV, you know. But I hadn't been used to one at home anyway, you know. But it was kind of dingy. So I moved that summer with the help of some friends from the gas company to an apartment upstairs in a little, it's still there. You know where West Street is from Eskimo Joe's? Half a block up the street is an apartment house. There's a lower and a top. And I moved into the top floor. It seems like to me, I bought a used TV But my husband had gone, as part of his classwork, I guess, I'm not positive about that, to South Texas to work for Magnolia Oil Company. And there's a college there, and I can't right offhand remember the name of the college, but that's, so I was there, you know, all summer by myself, so, but I got tired of living in that dingy apartment. So you probably know where that apartment
I
house
got
is.
an idea, yeah.
Of course, Eskimo Joe's wasn't there either, way back then. But if you were standing there in front of Eskimo Joe's, you can see it.
I'll pay attention the next time I'm
Okay.
up Duck Street. Look,
Yes.
close enough for you to walk to work, and close enough for him to walk to campus, or if you had to go.
Yes. So it worked out fine.
So overall, it's been a pretty good life.
Oh yes. You know, there's up and downs in any life, but most of it's been good.
And no regrets having gone to Oklahoma A&M.
Oh goodness, no, no. As you can, it's on the curb and it's on the front of the house and it's in there in the living room and.
And go Pokes, huh?
Yeah, that's right.
I think that's probably a good way to end, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Well, thank you for sharing. It's been fun.
Thank you for coming.